If the U.S. military were ordered to lock down the Strait of Hormuz, the operation would be complex, grueling, and defined by high-stakes naval combat. To establish a blockade here, the Navy must first withdraw its most powerful weapon, the nuclear-powered aircraft carrier. These 100,000-ton leviathans are too valuable and vulnerable to sit inside a narrow, 21-mile-wide channel. Relinquishing the fleet's traditional centerpiece forces the U.S. to adopt a new, high-risk operational playbook to survive the world's most dangerous maritime choke point. The geography of the strait dictates every move. Supertankers are confined to a strict traffic separation scheme, one 2-mile-wide inbound lane, one 2-mile outbound lane, and a narrow buffer zone. This leaves massive cargo ships with zero room to maneuver if they come under fire. Iran integrates its defense directly into this landscape. On Abu Musa Island, the IRGC maintains a heavily fortified early warning center.
This location extends their radar coverage and anti-access bubble deep into the Gulf, tracking Allied warships long before they reach the choke point. Closer to the transit corridor sits Larak Island, the choke point enforcer. Iranian fast attack boats stage here, capable of reaching passing tankers in mere minutes to enforce strict no-move zones with immediate gunfire. Then there is Keshem, the strategic anchor. Its rugged, mountainous terrain hides a labyrinth of underground bunkers and mobile anti-ship missile launchers, making it a heavily armed stationary defense system parked right on the edge of the shipping lanes. These spatial constraints turn traditional naval superiority into a liability. Iran's geographically integrated strategy grants them a massive asymmetrical advantage that requires a phased, precise response from the U.S. Phase 1 begins with the picket line. The U.S. relies on a wolf pack of Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyers, layered to create an overlapping radar dome. Their collective sensors ensure nothing flies or launches from the shore without being seen within seconds. Below the surface, the IRGC commands Kilo-class submarines. These quiet hunters attempt to break the blockade or lay hidden minefields in the deep shipping channels. To counter this subsurface threat, the Navy deploys Virginia-class attack submarines. Patrolling at 400 feet, they use heavyweight Mark 48 torpedoes to hunt and neutralize the Kilos before they ever have the chance to surface. While the picket line secures the perimeter from heavy ships and subs, the fleet remains vulnerable to the cheap, patient devices already waiting in the water. Contact and influence mines represent the most lethal hidden threat in the strait. Iran has dropped these throughout the transit lanes, and many have drifted uncontrollably into neighboring Arab waters. Clearing these killers requires a paradigm shift. The Independence-class Littoral Combat Ship acts as a robotic mothership, sitting safely outside the minefield while automated systems do the work. Detection is a dual-layered process. On the surface, an unmanned boat tows sonar to trace the seafloor, while an MH-60 Seahawk helicopter scans the same patch of water from 100 feet above to spot floating threats. For deep minefields, the Navy launches the knife fish. This robotic submarine dives into cluttered underwater environments to hunt and identify buried mines, detonating them safely using magnetic and acoustic signals. This shift to robotic integration transforms mine warfare from a slow, manual task into a calculated standoff operation, removing human sailors from the immediate blast zone. In Phase 3, Iran unleashes its Mosquito boat swarm, dozens of fast attack craft and unmanned suicide vessels charging at 50 to 70 knots. They are widely dispersed, carrying rockets and heavy machine guns to make targeting a nightmare for large warships. The Air Force responds with low-flying A-10 Thunderbolt IIs. Pilots use Maverick missiles to strike engine compartments before closing in with 30mm GA-8 Avenger cannons, which can tear a fiberglass speedboat to shreds in a 1-second burst. Phase 4 adds a layer of sea-level defense. Army aviation Apache units operate from the decks of U.S. Navy amphibious assault ships, working right down in the threat envelope to chase down anything that survives the initial airstrikes. The Apache's primary tool against the swarm is the AGM-114 Hellfire Romeo. These laser-guided precision missiles can be ripple-fired in rapid sequence to neutralize dispersed groups of lightly armored craft. To survive the swarm without the reach of a carrier's air wing, the Navy must borrow highly specialized low-altitude assets from the other branches. Endlessly swatting at fast boats and sweeping individual mines will never fully secure the strait. The defensive phase eventually reaches its limit.
The final step of the blockade requires neutralizing the source of the threat, the mobile launchers and underground missile caves embedded in the mountains of Kashmir Island. To reach these targets, Allied forces deploy the GBU-72, a 5,000-pound precision-guided bunker buster. This munition smashes through 160 feet of earth, or 20 feet of reinforced concrete. Once it breaks through the ceiling of a bunker, the resulting explosion wipes out the entire underground structure and the missiles stored within. Ultimately, securing a geographical choke point like the Strait of Hormuz depends on robotic integration, multi-domain agility, and overwhelming precision, rather than just the presence of the fleet's largest ships.